Boston Celtics dominate the Phoenix Suns. Kristaps Porzingis did the job. Jaylen Brown's knee looks good. So does Jayson Tatum's ankle. It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamp. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Jrue to KP, tap in daily. Prime time, dapping D White on the sideline. Raining Jace, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day, and I got you covered every Monday through Friday with a free podcast that drops directly to your device. No bonus podcast this Saturday night after the Spurs game, unless something catastrophic happens. I will just cover that on Sunday and make that the Monday podcast, just because we're at a point here where if I do a bonus podcast after that game, I got nothing to talk about on Monday. So apologies. I'm sure you'll get by on Sunday. This is an exception to my rule. But once the playoffs start here, we'll get back to bonus podcasts whenever they play on the weekends. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube. Please get into the comment section there. If you're new to the show, my name is John Karalis. I have been covering the Celtics for about 20 years, doing it now as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app. New customers right now get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Today's show, all about the Boston Celtics just completely decimating, chewing up, spitting out, stomping on the Phoenix Suns. After a first quarter where it was a shootout, 40, what was that after one quarter? 42-38. 42-38, and I was like, oh my God. I hope people bet the over on this game because it might be, this looked like an all-star game score. It was kind of nuts. The Celtics came out super, super hot. The Suns also hot in a way that was like the Celtics were actually playing some decent defense, although they were giving up some offensive rebounds. The Celtics were getting completely wide open looks. They cooled off a little bit. It got close. So the Suns got it to, what is it, 44, 42, I believe it was early in the second quarter. And then, boom, just a complete rocket ship to the moon for the Celtics from there. It was 42-40, and the Celtics outscored the Suns 31-14 after that. And they outscored the Suns in the third quarter 35-27, and they won the fourth quarter for good measure, which was mostly garbage time, 24-21. The Celtics are now winners of 7 games in a row. They are 12-1 in March. They are 15-3 since the All-Star break. They are 19-4 in February and March. They are what's called peaking at the right time. This is right there in the regular season. This point, 10 games left. They are finding a groove. They have gone on the road. Right now, they are perfect on the road. They have a couple of games left on the road. They have a potential, if they sweep this road trip, to have the best road record in the history of the NBA. Remember back in December and January, we were like, they're 18-12, and people are like, oh my God, they're not. Oh my, they're not. They're not winners. These are champions. They're not going to win again. And it was like, whoa, pump the brakes. I said back then, it's okay. It's okay. There was never anything wrong with this team other than effort and, lack of defense, and guys got cold. Pritchard got cold. Hauser got cold. Derrick White got super cold. I never once saw a thing with the Celtics that said, oh man, they're not executing this well. They're not, stylistically something is off. Schematically something is off. That was never ever the case. And here they are. Porzingis back to his normal self. putting in the effort. Guys are hitting shots again. And what do you know? 12-1 March. 19-4 in February and March. So the Celtics are back. They have the potential to win 60 games. And as I've said before, I'll say it again. If they miss last year's pace by like 2 or 3 games, so what? It's basically the same record. Once you're within a couple of games, it's the same thing. They're basically on the same pace as last year. That's the difference between like literally 5 plays. Five plays over the course of a season go differently. The Celtics match last year's record. So they're basically all of the stuff, even with all of that stuff in December and January. Here they are, back, feeling good, looking good. Now, the Phoenix Suns, by the way, and I don't want to go too crazy here, but they are bad. They're not good. I know they won 4 games in a row, but they looked bad. They looked like a team that's not a team that belongs in the playoffs. That's not a team that is fighting for a spot, fighting for their playoff lives. That's not the effort against the Celtics. All of this season has been about, oh man, we always get the team's worst, strongest effort. We always get the other team's best shot and all that stuff. And in this game, it was the complete opposite after the first quarter. The Suns got cold, and after that, it was just the effort was not there. They were completely, utterly undisciplined on defense, overreactions all over the floor. If they helped, which wasn't often, the help wasn't great because there was no help behind it. There was a play at the end, and it actually ended up on the Celtics getting a 3-second call defensively. And I was like, that's how you cover. Derrick White got beat. Al Horford stepped up to cover. Someone else stepped up in the lane and just never got out of it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm actually okay with taking a defensive 3-second call. At that point, the game was decided anyway, but I'm actually okay with taking a defensive 3-second. I would rather have the occasional defensive 3-second call when your team is covering for one another than whatever Phoenix was doing out there in that game. They look terrible, terrible. Jaylen Brown's knee looks good. He did say after the game that it's something that he's managing. He's never had problems with his knees before, and he's not sure. It's all new to him. But after all of what I've said over the past couple of days, Jaylen's knee looks pretty good. So does Jayson Tatum's ankle. Let's talk about that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. We're in the middle of March Madness, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. New customers, that's you. You can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. It's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories. Not that there are any Cinderella stories left, to who's cutting down the nets. So you can go pick your favorites. You can pick however you want to pick them. You can pick them. You can back your favorites with spreads, totals, game props, with tournament games happening all the time now. There's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is super simple to use. When you win, you get paid instantly, no waiting around. They have the tools there available for you to set your limits, set your budget. It pops up right away. They want you to set your limits so you can gamble responsibly. Don't go overboard. Nobody wants you to go overboard. So set your limits there. Use the tools that they have. At FanDuel, go to FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make sure you're signed up for the new Locked On Celtics newsletter. Go to LockedOnDaily.com, click on that Locked On Celtics logo, enter your email, and then I'll send you an email Monday through Friday with Celtics, NBA, and fantasy coverage for as long as fantasy is still going. So I know there's playoff time here. So there's only a few of you got fantasy teams left. But it's all there in the newsletter, plus links to Celtics content around the internet. So sign up at LockedOnDaily.com. I have been on Jaylen Brown over the past couple of games because he looked like a shell of himself against Sacramento. He had no explosion. He had no lift. He was not Jaylen Brown in that game. And so it was very easy for me to spend a fair amount of time in that post-game podcast and in yesterday's podcast saying, look, I understand Jaylen chasing that 65 game number and all of that stuff, but there's going to be some debate over whether he is helping or hurting his postseason chances and all of that stuff. And I put a lot of emphasis on this game to tell me, all right, what's he fighting through? How bad is it? I needed to see the signs that he's fine. And I saw those. We all saw those. He finished this game with 24 points on 7 of 15 shooting, 4 of 9 from 3. He came out and hit his first 2 3-pointers, set the tone, 6 of 6 from the line, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, a steal, some pretty good defense on Kevin Durant, as good as anybody can play defense on Kevin Durant. KD did what he did, but he was, I don't want to say he was limited. He scored 30 points, but mostly on twos. And that's a big deal. I said before the game on Boston Sports Journal to limit their 3-pointers, and the Celtics hit 9 more 3-pointers than Phoenix did. But Jaylen Brown, he said after the game that managing the knee, and never had a knee issue before. It's new. He's on a minutes restriction and all of that, which is fine with me. This is great. Keep him to 25 minutes a game. No need to play him anymore. Get him his rest. Get him, play him, whatever. Like, I don't care between now and the end of the regular season. He'll be fine. I know there's a ramp-up period, but he's in great shape. He's going to be fine. There's a couple of games to play with, which may mean that he misses the last 2. But whatever it is, I know he's going to get to the 65, barring anything big. If he looks the way he looked in this game against Phoenix, I'm totally fine with it. He looked great. Manage his minutes, keep him down below 30, keep him to 25. That's great. 25 to 30, I love it. Perfect. So I'm backing off my Jaylen Brown. I don't think there's anything to worry about. I don't think that he's going to be hurting himself. I think he's going to be ready for the playoffs, all of that stuff. But I do want to make sure that it's the way he looked against Sacramento. I felt justified in the questions. I'm very happy that he answered that, and I can shut that down now. I'm very happy with what I saw from Jaylen Brown in that game. He had a big dunk. All of that stuff was really, really good. Jayson Tatum, and I know if you're looking on the YouTube page, I'm going to go out of order because this is just the natural progression. Jayson Tatum looks fine also. And this was great. I'm going to shout out Dan Greenberg on Twitter said this. I'm basically repeating what he said. I want to make sure he gets the credit for it. But he said, this is perfect. Essentially he said, this is perfect because we got Jayson Tatum videos on the timeline of him going through shoot around, going through workouts, go through pregame workouts. We could all see that he's walking, he's playing basketball. He went through his normal shooting. He went through all his pregame stuff. He tested the ankle. He actually looked fine in the videos that I saw, and they sat him out. He missed this game, which is great. So everybody breathe a sigh of relief. We saw the videos. He looks good. He's on the sidelines. He's walking around, no boot, no nothing. He dressed up in all of his Duke gear, and it's perfect. This is a perfect scenario. He still sits, and hey, sit him against San Antonio. I say sit him one more game, but knowing Jayson Tatum, I mean, it probably took, I don't know, whatever it took. It took a lot to get him to sit for this game, but whatever it is, if he needs to sit one more, but it won't be an extended absence. That's the lesson, because he went from doubtful to questionable to it looked like he might actually play to out, but maybe San Antonio, maybe Memphis. He looks good. This is great. Great injury news, I think, from Jaylen and from Jayson. So I know that Jaylen's going to be managing the knee moving forward, and it just may be something that you've got to manage throughout the course of the playoffs. It's going to mean some limited, you got to limit some of the other stuff that you're doing and make sure you're icing and all of that stuff, and take your anti-inflammatories and do whatever anti-inflammatory diet you need, any kind of thing you need to do to keep that swelling down and all of that. Do it. Kristaps Porzingis dominated this game, completely dominated this game. 30 points, 10 of 15 shooting, 4 of 5 from 3, 6 of 8 from the line, 8 rebounds, 4 of them offensive, 2 blocked shots, 2 assists. Absolute masterpiece from Kristaps Porzingis, and a really good game plan from the Celtics to attack a Suns team that was not very big. You go double big with Tatum out. Horford and Porzingis are in there. The Suns had no answers for the Horford Porzingis combination. Whatever big you had out there, one of them would draw that big out, and the other would attack a small, often Devin Booker, and post them up, seal them down low, and attack. I mean, killer whales, seal hunting with literal seals in the paint, sealing him off, posting him up, and getting, like Porzingis did it a few times. Celtics ran some really great plays, easy plays that are designed to get multiple options. All the Celtics plays are designed to get multiple options, but easy to get the switches. Once you realize that the Suns are switching, the Celtics punished it. They punished it over and over and over again. And for Porzingis, that's exactly what you want to see. And it's, once again, the reminder that fully healthy, the Celtics have answers for anything you throw out there. And I know we go back to the OKC games. It's the only game the Celtics have lost this month. A healthy Porzingis playing like this, and I don't want to get it twisted here. The Thunder are not the Phoenix Suns, and I'm not trying to compare the two, but Porzingis playing like this, attacking smalls, getting the post ups, hitting that mid-range, that elbow, that free throw jumper, hitting from 3. That Porzingis changes the dynamic from that OKC matchup in an incredible way. So it's super important, incredibly important to have Porzingis healthy in that playoff run. He just makes everything so much easier. Al Horford, what a game from him. And it's funny, I do a weekly Q&A on Boston Sports Journal, and in my Wednesday Q&A, before the game, I got the question, do you think Al Horford retires after this season? And I said no, because he's not only playing well, he's having fun. He's out there with his son. I mean, what a great year. I mean, unless he decides he just wants to like go spend time with his family, which would be great, but I don't think so. I think he's enjoying having his son around. I think this is great. I love seeing Ian out there celebrating and like having fun with the Celtics. I think Al is having his fun, and he's playing incredibly. So why wouldn't he want to keep going? And why wouldn't the Celtics want to keep him? Even if he takes a step backwards and he's your 7th man next year, you can still play him 15, 20 minutes a game, I think, next season, and he'd still be fairly effective. This is the exact kind of game you want from him. 16 points, 10 rebounds. He had 4 offensive rebounds, 5 assists for him, a steal, 2 block shots. He is able to summon, and I think it's especially against these big time players, because he summoned it against Kevin Durant. It's wild to see how good he can be when he can turn it up. Now, he is older and he has to conserve his energy and all of that stuff, which is fine. But I do think he's coming back, and I think he should come back. Why not? Keep going. So the bigs, Horford, Porzingis, Kornet to a degree. This wasn't a big Kornet game, but Kornet did a couple of things. So he wasn't a negative out there, but this was mostly the Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis show. But Derrick White, Jrue Holiday, Sam Hauser, the shooting, all of that still to come here on the Locked On Celtics podcast. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make sure you're subscribed to the Locked On NBA podcast feed because you're going to get 2 podcasts. Locked On NBA Game Night, which I'm on Fridays with Jake Madison, covers 7 days a week, every game in the association. So full coverage of the league. So you get to see everything that happened, including buzzer beaters like LeBron beating the Pacers, which is big. Actually, let me just say this. That's what we wanted to happen, because the Lakers beating the Pacers, like, you want the Pacers to lose. I do not want to face the Pacers in the playoffs. I do not want the Pacers to overtake the Knicks in the playoffs. The Knicks are a better matchup for the Celtics. You want the Knicks. We want the Knicks, right? You can get that chant going. We want the Knicks. I don't care. And I have no fear of the Locked On Knicks podcast taking that clip and playing it in celebration after beating the Celtics in the playoffs. The Celtics own the Knicks. They own that matchup. So thankfully, LeBron James and the Lakers, LeBron hits the buzzer beater to beat the Pacers, so they do not make up any more ground against the Knicks. So just wanted to throw that out there, completely unrelated. Go subscribe to Locked On NBA for more. That's a take I would have given if tonight was my show, but I'm giving it here. Looking down the rest of the box score, Derrick White, Jrue Holiday, what a night for the backcourt. I love when they have such similar stats that, we can combine them and have, when you have like Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis, like 2 of your stars, and these guys are all stars really, but 2 of your top 3 having monster nights, right? Kristaps had a big night. Jaylen had a monster night. To get the combined numbers that I'm going to read off from Derrick White and Jrue Holiday is incredible from your starting backcourt. 32 combined points on 11 of 21 shooting, 6 of 15 from 3, 10 assists, and a steal. Holiday was 5 of 11. Holiday was 6 of 10. White was 5 of 11. White had 7 of the assists. Holiday was 2 of 5 from 3. So you got a 40% shooting night, 2 40% shooting nights. Just great production all the way around. Holiday had his stretch. Derrick White had his stretch. They just both. This is the luxury when the Celtics are playing their absolute best. Like these guys are incredible. Pritchard did not have a great scoring night off the bench, but Sam Hauser was 3 of 4. Baylor Scheierman played almost 13 minutes and played. I like Scheierman. I like this kid. I'm buying into it. I'm sorry. Like, I don't think this is just, hey, this guy is hot. I think this is like, I see the flash. I see the flair. I see the confidence. Like the Rondo move that he did late in the game where he up fake, drove, rondoed, 2-hand bounce pass around the defender to Keita. Thankfully, Neemias Queta finished that off so we get the full highlight. That was an incredibly fun play. I loved it. And the fact that he has the confidence to try that. You're a rookie, buddy, and you're out there doing that you better make sure that got through. And it did. That was an insane play. He feels the game well. He passes well. He's the lob he threw to Neemias Queta was executed, like the little nuance of it. They were talking about on the broadcast of Eddie House did a great job of explaining playing under control, not going too fast, slowing down to let Keita go and moving over to the right to create a lane, bringing his defender over a little bit to get Keita that little bit of a lane to run down to the middle of the lane. The little things on the court, you're like, oh, nope, I'm going too fast, understanding the speed, the pace, the spacing. That from Baylor Scheierman was beautiful. That is instinctive. That is something that you hone. That's something that you have. And to get that out of the 30th pick, just incredible. Tom and I talked about it at the end of yesterday's podcast. Go back and listen to the last 5 minutes of that podcast because we got into it there with Baylor Scheierman. I should clip that and put it out because not enough people heard that. I like him. He's not going to be ready for the playoffs. I don't know what he's going to be next year. And there's so many external factors. What does he pick up over the summer? Does he screw something up over the summer or does he enhance something? Who do the Celtics keep? Who do they move over the summer? What positions are available? So there's a lot still moving parts wise, but I think eventually Baylor Scheierman, whether it's next year or the year after, he has a significant role on this team. And I can see him someday being a starter at some point. I think he's good enough to get there. So really like this kid. A couple of other notes now. The Celtics with this win have the NBA's best road scoring differential. This stuff is all courtesy of Sean Grandy, the Celtics incredible radio play-by-play guy. If you're not in the Boston market and you're stuck, especially, or maybe if you're in the Boston market, maybe you want to do this, sync up that Sirius XM or the radio call on League Pass to like on a night, if you're stuck watching ESPN, sync up his call, him and Max on your TV. It's pretty easy to do. Once you do it, it's kind of fun. Celtics now have the best road scoring differential in the league this season, just ahead of Oklahoma City, and second best of all time. They are now assured, again, reading a Sean Grandy tweet, the Celtics are now assured of having a better record on the road than at home. It's just the third time in franchise history that's happened. 1975, 2010, and 2025. That is incredible. And the most important thing here, the chase for the most three-pointers in Celtics history. We were talking about this the other day. Derrick White, after this game, leads the Celtics with 241 made three-pointers. The record is 245. So he needs 4 to tie, 5 to beat the record. And the beauty of this is Derrick White going back to San Antonio where his career started on March 29th. Again, Sean Grandy, Isaiah Thomas set the record he's held for 8 years on March 29th, 2017. Now, March 29th, 2025, Derrick White in San Antonio has a chance to tie or break that record. They need to get him as many three-pointers as he needs to break that record. Run all the plays for Derrick White. You need to have that. Now, there's no guarantee that he holds the record for the rest of the season, but Peyton Pritchard is at 237. Jayson Tatum is at 236. So there's a 4 and 5 point three-pointer difference. This is going to be a tight one, man. It's going to be a tight race. I want Derrick White to do this on Saturday. Like, this is going to be great. This is going to be fun to track. So look, Celtics get the easy win over Phoenix. Phoenix's defense, yeah, they were playing better recently, but God, that was bad. They were awful. They are awful. Phoenix is not a good team, and they're going to blow it up. And what a mess. Celtics are a very good team, and they march on. I will be here tomorrow for a new podcast. So make sure you're subscribed. Get that show dropped directly to your favorite podcasting app. Then you can hop into the YouTube page. If you want to watch the show on YouTube, please do that. Hop into the comment section, share your thoughts there, and then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.